You're listening to KTST FM, Orange County. Now broadcasting from coast to coast and around the world at KTSTFM.com. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome to episode 8 of Secret City Geek Lab, your resource for everything geek. We'll talk movies, TV, comic books, video games, and anything geek. I'm your host, Alan Ng, and you'll hear from me and members of the improv comedy group Secret City Comic Society. This week, we're going to feature William Acker and Joey Shope with movie reviews. Today's show is brought to you by Secret City Comic Society, the best in all ages improv comedy in downtown Fullerton. Visit Secret City Comic Society and the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com. Coming up this week, 2 movie reviews, The Evil Dead and Oblivion, starring Tom Cruise. Also from WonderCon, we're going to finish off our Spotlight panel with Jim Lee as he talks about his experiences as a comic book artist. Coming up first, we're going to start with our movie review of The Evil Dead. In the much-anticipated remake of the 1981 cult hit horror film, 5 20-something friends get holed up in a remote cabin. When they discover the Book of the Dead, they unwittingly summon a dormant demon living in the nearby woods, which possesses each of the youngsters in succession, only until one is left intact to fight for survival. The Evil Dead is rated R and runs 1 hour and 31 minutes long. It's produced by Columbia, and Secret City's own Will Acker reviews The Evil Dead, and here is that review. This is Secret City Movie Review. I'm here with
William,
and we're talking about The Evil Dead. What's the full title of the movie?
It's Evil Dead. Is the full title of the movie.
All right, tell me the basic plot of the movie.
Basic plot is 4 or 5 friends basically go to a cabin in the woods, and a brother and sister, David and Emma. I'm getting these names wrong, but that's okay. The sister basically has a heroin addiction, and so she kind of goes through rehab. And as they're trying to get her to go through rehab over the course of the night, one of the friends finds this Book of the Dead and reads from the Book of the Dead and brings demons out to try to kill everybody and bring forth the big or the head demon to begin the end of the world. And that's kind of the essence of the story. And then through the course of the movie, people start getting possessed by demons, start killing each other off, and eventually it leads to Mia killing the head demon and kind of surviving.
And who directed the movie? Was anyone of note?
Sam Raimi, actually.
Sam Raimi, okay, I know him.
Yay, Sam Raimi.
He did Spider-Man.
Yes, and the original Evil Deads and a bunch of stuff.
Okay, so this is a sequel or is a reboot?
That's a good question. It's a little bit of both.
Okay, you've seen the original Evil Deads, right?
I have. I've seen.
Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Worthy sequel, worthy chapter to this story?
Yes, it definitely was. This new movie had a lot of throwbacks to the original 3. It had the boomstick, the shotgun that was classic for the movies. It had the chainsaw. There were many classic scenes that they had shown, people cutting off their hands, chainsaw attached to a person's hand, chopping people up. That was classic things from the original movie that came into play. Okay,
so this is definitely a horror gore movie.
Oh, definitely. This is a movie that has more blood than I've seen in a long time in a movie. Lots of gore, lots of blood.
Okay, so did you like the movie?
I loved it. I absolutely thought it was fantastic. Storyline kind of dipped because at the very beginning you're kind of sustained from what's going on. You really don't care about these characters, but then the minute Mia gets possessed and she starts kind of trying to kill off everybody, that's when the movie really starts. The gore starts happening, and then this whole amazing horror film just kind of comes together in just perfect harmony.
Okay, what were things you liked about it?
It's going to sound silly, but the gore in the movie was just fantastic. I mean, there was literally somebody took a turkey kind of shredder and just chopped off her whole half of her arm. There was a scene where a car fell on somebody's hand, and instead of trying to cut it off, she just literally pulls her hand off, and that was about it. That was gone. This one guy gets beat up in the movie for everything from getting a crowbar to the hand to nail guns in the shoulder. He just gets beat up to the movie. I mean, that was the shock value. It was just a traditional horror movie, blood, guts, gore, the whole 9 yards.
Would you say it was more cartoony type gore, or is it realistic gore?
Oh, very realistic. Unlike the original Evil Deads, it was very
They tried to go for what would really happen if...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was a little more like hardcore and like gross and intense and graphic and amazing.
Okay. And what did you not like about the movie?
The big thing was the storyline. The storyline didn't really have any real connection to what was going on. There wasn't a lot of explanation of where the Book of the Dead came from and how this all kind of came to play, why it was there. There were little hints and references at it, but in the ending of everything, it really didn't have any point to it. Mm-hmm. And then it all just kind of became background stuff to what was actually going on with the demons and stuff.
Okay, now is this a movie that you have to see in the theater, or can you just rent when it comes on DVD?
For hardcore horror fans, this is definitely a movie you need to see in theaters. For the general populace, I do suggest seeing it in theaters. I'm always for going to see a movie in theaters. And this is definitely one of those movies that you need to see kind of with a group and have that vibe going. Because sitting by yourself home alone is not going to get the real essence of what this movie's about.
All right, and if you're the kind of person who gets squeamish at horror movies and really hate horror movies, probably want to stay away from it?
This is not the movie for you. This is definitely not a movie you want to see at all if you're not a horror fan. This is something, go see something else.
All right, from a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being best, 7 being fair, what would you rate The Evil Dead?
It's definitely a 9.
A 9. All right, very good. This is a Secret City movie review. I'm Alan, and this is Will. Another movie review coming up, and it's the movie Oblivion, starring Tom Cruise and Morgan Freeman. On a spectacular future Earth that has evolved beyond recognition, one man's confrontation with the past will lead him on a journey of redemption and discovery as he battles to save mankind. Living in and patrolling the breathtaking skies from 1,000 feet above, Jack, played by Tom Cruise, Soaring's existence is brought crashing down after he rescues a beautiful stranger from a downed spacecraft. Drawn to Jack through a connection that transcends logic, her arrival triggers a chain of events that forces him to question everything he thought he knew. With a reality that is shattered as he discovers shocking truths that connects him to Earth of the past, Jack will be pushed into a heroism he didn't know he had contained within him. The fate of humanity now rests solely in the hands of a man who believes our world was soon to be lost forever. This movie is produced by Universal Studios, is rated PG-13, and runs 2 hours and 5 minutes, and it is being reviewed by Joey Shope. This is a Secret City Geek Lab movie review. I'm here with Joey Shope.
Hi.
And Joey just saw the movie Oblivion. So tell me, what is Oblivion? Tell us what that movie was about.
Well, it's a Tom Cruise movie, so it's just 2.5 hours of him running around and screaming in space. That's the only real difference between his other movies. You know, it was really science fiction fans will really like it. They'll go nuts over it because there's a lot of fun science fiction stuff in it.
All right, tell us the basic plot of the movie.
So Tom Cruise and his assistant are on a base operation for humanity. They're like the only two people left on the planet. This is a post-apocalyptic movie. Some kind of alien force blew up the moon, and that caused a lot of earthquakes and tidal waves to destroy all the coastal cities.
So where's everybody?
All the humans left to one of Saturn's moon, the biggest one,
Okay.
Titan. Yes. Except there is a giant space station floating around in the sky. So that's the only other place where humans are at. So 2 people on Earth, space station, everyone else on Titan.
Okay, and then what happens?
There's the aliens, the little critters called scabs. They're still on the planet Earth. There's only like a handful of them left, but they're still causing havoc and destruction. Part of being on the space station or on Titan is you need a lot of energy to maintain everything. So they have these machines that suck up all the energy and all like the water and all the minerals, and they transfer that into energy for all the other people. Tom Cruise is a maintenance guy, so he's making sure everything's working together. His assistant is a communications person. They keep track. A lot of the movie is spent in this kind of like a helicopter thing that's a new futuristic technology. It's a science fiction movie, so you're going to see like a lot of new technology, how they view technology is going to go in the next 70 years. It's near future-ish. It's 2077, so it's not crazy distant in the future. And like I said, it's very science fiction. There's some a lot of science fiction plots that you'll see in any kind of sci-fi movie is in this movie. It's almost like a conglomerate of all kinds of science fiction types.
Okay. So it's a science fiction movie.
Oh, yeah.
All right. General impressions, did you like the movie?
I did like the movie, and I think if you like sci-fi and action, you're going to be happily satisfied.
Why did you like the movie?
Special effects were really cool. I'm a big special effects guy. The acting, it's a science fiction movie. The writing, I think, was really done well. Halfway through the movie, you're probably going to be asking a lot of questions, because sci-fi is notorious for having a lot of plot holes. But this movie really sews up a lot of plot holes. Like, you're halfway through, you might be asking, well, why is this happening? Why don't they do this? And then they'll answer that in the second half. So you're not walking away with a lot of questions when you watch this movie.
Okay, and so the quality of acting from Tom Cruise and...
I don't know, it's...
It's Tom Cruise.
It's Tom Cruise. He still looks good for however old he is. There you go, ladies.
All right.
What is a little bit bad about the movie, like I said, it is 2.5 hours long. You feel it probably for about 30 minutes. You're like, all right, let's wrap this up. It ends appropriately. It doesn't end, and then you have to deal with 30 more minutes of it. It's like you feel the length of it, like halfway through, and you're like, all right, let's get to some more action, because because the movie has so many plot holes that have to be filled. They have to do a lot of exposition, which you could think that just throw some of it away as a whole would probably be a good movie too. Recommendation would make it maybe like 45 minutes shorter. It'd probably be way better.
Okay, is this a DVD rental? Is it a go see it in theater or go see it matinee?
If you just like movies, rent it. If you like sci-fi, I say totally buy it. I think you have a really good time if you're a sci-fi nerd.
And you tell people to go to theaters and
go and see it. There's no IMAX or 3D, which I thought maybe they could have used, but I'm kind of glad they didn't, just for the sake of charging you $3 more.
Okay, and from a scale from 1 to 10, how did you like Oblivion?
I rated an 8.
An 8. All right. This is Secret City Geek Lab with Joey Shope talking about Oblivion.
Bye.
You're listening to the Secret City Geek Lab on KTST-FM. I'm Alan Ing. Moving right along, we are going to finish off our Jim Lee Spotlight panel that was recorded at WonderCon just a few weeks ago. Jim Lee is a comic book artist who worked for Marvel and is now the co-publisher of DC Comics. He took random questions from the audience and just kind of went into what it takes to be an artist and how to get into the business as well. And so here's part 1 of that panel.
My question is how come you don't do books for Marvel anymore?
I'm co-publisher of DC, so it makes it a little difficult.
I know that was obvious, but I wasn't sure if you had a contract that prevented you from doing that.
I think they would not be happy if I were moonlighting and drawing books to directly compete, That said, there's not that many books at Marvel, I have a real yearning to draw. I feel like between Heroes Reborn and working on the X-Men, I kind of drew the characters I wanted to, for the most part. And there's still so many more DC characters I haven't really even touched yet. So, from Legion of Superheroes to Wonder Woman would be a lot of fun, I think, to draw at some point.
How old were you when you first started drawing?
I was like 4 or 5. I had an art tutor in Korea, and so I was 4 years old, and we used to work in oil pastels. Oil pastels, you start off with a yellow underdrawing, and you work up to darker colors or values. Yeah, that was my first art lesson, and I just always drew. Like, even in school, I would always draw on my, while taking notes or on tests or on the desks. I just drew all the time. I think I knew I was kind of good when, I think it was like 3rd grade, and I drew a picture of Nighthawk. He's a Marvel character. The substitute teacher at the time, she normally would grab stuff, like if you were doing things like that, and just like crumple it up and throw it away. And she grabbed it and was going to crumple it, and then she looked at it. I guess she liked it, and then she posted it up on her wall. So, if there was eBay back then, I think she would have popped that sucker on there. Anyway, yes.
Hi. I really like drawing, and I'm really slow with it, so I want to know how long it took before you were able to draw really fast.
It took a while. When I first started out at Marvel working on Alpha Flight, everything I drew, I was drawing for the first time, every pose, and so I just spent hours working on poses. And then after a while, probably after 3 or 4 years, you get comfortable with anatomy, and not that you repeat poses, but kind of, not master, but you have a way of doing every kind of shot. When I first did this, oh my gosh, it was so hard. The nose was, the eyes were far apart, or one is higher than the other, and so you just have to, it's probably 2 or 3 years of constant drawing.
I'm wondering, is there any characters in particular that are really like hell to draw for you, or characters that you really enjoy drawing?
Spider-Man is a character I've said that I'm not a big fan of drawing just because the webbing is very hard to do and time-consuming. If you get it wrong, you got to start all over. Try and think. DC. I like kind of the monster characters like Darkseid, because you can really exaggerate the proportions and kind of make something really non-human looking. You know, for the most part, when you draw a figure, you gotta remember there's bones here like this. Put the flesh around that. When you draw a character like the Hulk or Darkseid like this, it doesn't look right. They just look like a big guy. They don't look as beefy. And I think Mike Mignola was the one that said, like, just draw a starfish. And then you put the head here. That's the Hulk. So it's almost like if you drew like the bones underneath and the muscles, it doesn't quite work, but you gotta like pay attention to the silhouette.
So Mr. Lee?
Yes.
So on your upcoming series Superman Unchained, will you be introducing a new villain or be recreating an old villain like Parasite or Metallo?
It's a new villain.
Another speed question, piggybacking off of what the young lady asked. You addressed anatomy concerning how to do pages faster, but how about just the production process, layout, and actually getting the page done? Any speed secrets?
I draw straight on the page. When I first started out, I tried to draw small thumbnails and then blow it up and then lightbox it and transfer it. And I realized I lost a lot of the energy of the drawing in that transfer, and also it took a lot more time. So to save up time, draw straight on the page, and oftentimes I will lay out a big chunk of the book, and then I'll draw pages out of order, but I'll draw the page I wanted to draw that day. That way, if you're doing it sequentially, and it starts out slowly, you know, it's hard to build up momentum. So especially if you're trying to do 2 pages a day or 2 pages every 3 days, I'll pick a hard page and an easy page, and an easy page, and then I'll try to do those in 2 days, right? And then the hard part is making sure it all like ties up continuity-wise. That, you know, when someone gets hurt or, you know, loses an arm, it's the right arm, you know, every page thereafter.
When you were coming up in art versus how it is nowadays for a lot of those aspiring artists to come in, how different do you think it is? Because I hear a lot about it's just networking nowadays, and if you have trouble speaking about yourself, I mean, can you just let your portfolio speak for you?
I'll tell you that. The great thing about comics is I don't think it matters who you are, what your education was, where you live. For the most part, if you've got good stuff, if you can draw well, you'll get work. When I started at Marvel, and it was Archie Goodwin that found me at a con. I showed him my work, and he liked it. He said, all right, come in on Monday. And I was like really sweating it, like, oh my gosh, like on Monday he's going to ask me questions, you know, like my approach to storytelling and why I render the way I do, or just, you know, I thought he was going to hit me with all these like academic kind of questions, you know, like it was a job interview. He just looked at the stuff I drew that he saw at the con and said, looks good still. All right, let's go give you a job. And so, you know, it was really cool. Like it didn't matter. And I think today with, you know, DeviantArt and the ability to self-publish online, I mean, there's really no excuse. Like if you want to draw comics, you can do it.
What made you decide to be an artist?
I think it's something I had to do. It's something I wanted to do ever since I was a little kid. I just loved superhero comic books. And, you know, my dad wanted me to be a doctor, to follow in his footsteps. I just wanted to do what I love doing. And it was an epic battle because Koreans are very pushy. And Korean parents are the pushiest. And it's a hard-won battle. And there was times when I could kind of have maybe left comics and maybe gone to storyboarding or directing or what have you, and I just stuck with comics. I love drawing comics. I love telling stories. I love trying to create things that feel three-dimensional out of two-dimensional things or space. So I just love the art form, so I don't think I'll ever stop.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jose. In my opinion, the greatest contribution any artist can make is to pass along knowledge, information, skills.
Right.
Do you have apprentices? Do you take on apprentices?
I used to when we had Wildstorm, that was a studio, and I would bring in like 4 or 5 people at a time. Thank you. And So guys like Jeff Campbell, Brett Booth, Travis Charest, Alex Garner, Dan Norton, Pete Woods, and they basically would kind of live there. I would put them up, I'd fly them in, I'd put them up in an apartment, and they would we'd all sit in the same room and draw, and we'd either be drawing comics or like trading cards or whatever. And I would just give them, feedback. Lee Bermejo's another one, sorry, I forgot. So a lot of different types of artists, and no time. I would like to do maybe eventually like some online kind of correspondence thing where people log in. I know it's like a big growth thing in the education field where people from all around the world can kind of tune into an art tutorial. I would have to come up with the program first, but that would be kind of fun to do. The last book I read, The Good Life by Jay McInerney. It came out a long time ago, and I started it shortly after 9/11 had happened. It's a book about these characters that their lives changed because of 9/11. And, I bought it in hardcover, so it just was sitting on the shelves just sort of taunting me. So I finally kind of gave it a go and read it. I'm also like about a third of the way in on Game of Thrones. Yeah. Fire, yeah. Yeah, it's really awesome. And then sometimes I participate in my wife's book club. And she reads a lot of romance, lovey-dovey movie. My inspirational artists, when I was a kid, John Byrne, George Perez, Frank Miller. And then when I became a pro, Barry Windsor Smith influenced me a lot, Kevin Nolan influenced me a lot, Mike Mignola, Art Adams, and later Travis, Jeff Scott Campbell. What will I be doing when I'm 90 years old? Probably still doing like free sketches. Oh, we're going to see a Wildcats book? Gen 13. To me, we haven't had the best of luck with a lot of the Wildstorm stuff in the New 52. So I'd hold off on it just now. My parents are completely cool with me being a comic book artist. And in fact, they're my worst crazy, obsessed fans. Back in the day, they used to get a subscription to Wizard magazine, and they'd be like, Jim, why are you number 2 this month? What happened? And I'm like, oh my God, just give it a rest. I come home for Thanksgiving, and they go, oh, these are some books we want you to sign for all the nurses at the hospital, So it was always like a convention at the house. And my mom will come to San Diego Comic-Con. She'll wait in line to be the first person at a signing. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? I could do this at home. And she said, no, it's different here. So they're a little kooky. Huh? I've been going every year since 87. Yeah, so this will be my, 26th. Thank you.
How did you get a ticket?
How did I get a ticket? I haven't had to get a ticket like you guys do in 26 years, I think. So I feel for you, though. If I could reinvent a character, I think the Legion. I think I'd want to do a bunch of new Legionnaires. I don't think I even would do that many of the classic. Just because they've been redone so many times. Flash or Iron Man? What? In a fight? On a date? What? I don't know. Barry's kind of dreamy. Blue eyes. Tony Stark seems like a player. I don't know if I'd want to kind of like...
This is Alan Ng on KTST-FM, and we're listening to the Secret City Geek Lab. Before our time is up, I just got a little bit of geek news to go with. Captain America is currently in production. This film picks up where the Avengers left off, with Steve Rogers struggling to embrace his role in a modern world and teaming up with Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow, to battle powerful and shadowy enemies in present-day Washington. The Winter Soldier is a big part of the story. In fact, it's called Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And The Winter Soldier, if you're familiar with the comic books, was created by Ed Brubaker. In this movie, The Winter Soldier is a Soviet experiment that uses the body of Rogers' medically resurrected and enhanced best pal Bucky, last seen plunging off a snowy bridge during the train attack in the first movie. Sebastian Stan, who played Bucky in that film, is back again. In Captain America, they are filming in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Cleveland. Stars Chris Evans as Captain America, Sebastian Stan as the Winter Soldier. Also appearing is Scarlett Johansson, Sam Jackson, Kobe Smulders, and Anthony Mackie as Falcon. And in a bit of stunt casting, we have Robert Redford, who is going to be playing a senior S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Well, that's the Secret City Geek Lab for today. This has been episode 8. It was brought to you by Secret City's Geek Lab and brought to you by Secret City Comic Society, Fullerton's best all-ages improv comedy. So come back next week for more news and updates in the world of geekdom and nerdity. And visit us online for daily geek news and reviews of comic books, television, and movies at secretcitycomedy.com/geeklab. We're always posting news every day, and we're providing original content in the form of commentary, reviews of movies and television and everything else. So I'd like to also thank Will Acker and Joey Shope for their participation in this week's show. We'll see you next week.